And we're back with the Education Notebook here on News 12 Connecticut. I'm Amelie Wilson. When Darien resident Carl Nichols found out that his friend Scott Anderson had been diagnosed with ALS, he knew he had to do something to help. So Nichols got writing. All the proceeds from his newest novel, The Encounter, will go to ALS research. Carl and Scott are now here to tell us their stories. Guys, thanks so much for coming.
Thank you for having us.
So both of you were diagnosed with very different diseases. Carl, first of all, tell me, you had a thyroid cancer?
Yeah, I have a very rare form of thyroid cancer called medullary thyroid cancer. And believe it or not, only 600 people a year are diagnosed with it.
Very rare.
Very rare.
And then, Scott, when were you diagnosed with ALS?
I had my original diagnosis in July of 2008, and then subsequent follow-ups. So it was basically the fall of 2008 when I finally came to the realization that we had to deal with this.
You've since quit your job and you're completely devoted to raising money for research?
Yeah, I left work about a year after that. And my wife Jenny and I got involved with the local ALS association in Connecticut and started to do fundraising for their big walk that they have. It's their premier event each year.
Of course, I know money is needed, and how amazing that your friend stepped in and said, you know what, all the money raised from my new book will go to ALS and not thyroid cancer.
That's right.
treatment. That's interesting.
Right.
How'd you make that decision?
Well, you know, not to over-dramatize it, but I liken a little bit to triage in the sense that we both have incurable diseases at the moment, but right now Scott's need is just a little bit more important than mine.
Got it. So where can we find the book?
Well, you can find the book on Amazon or Barnes & Noble or in Darien at Barrett Bookshop, in New Canaan, Elm Street Bookshop.
Okay, The Encounter.
Yeah.
Tell us
just
quickly what it's about.
Well, it's you know, I've always been fascinated with what can happen when otherwise very decent people make bad judgments or decisions in their lives, and how sometimes their whole lives can just spiral out of control as a result of it. And so this is the story of a very honest, hardworking, decent, average everyman who makes a bad judgment one night while traveling on business, and as a result, he gets ensnared with the Russian mafia in Denver, and it affects his profession, his family, and maybe even his life.
It's a thriller.
It's a thriller.
All right, The Encounter.
The Encounter.
By Carl Nichols, great. So if we could just go a little bit more into ALS, if you could
Sure.
Kind of tell us, what are things looking like for you right now, Scott?
I guess I'm fortunate in that you know, I've been diagnosed for just about 2 years now. And the progress of the disease has been relatively slow for me, which is the fortunate thing. It starts off, it affects different people in different ways, which is why it's so hard to diagnose. So my hands and arms are probably the most effective now. My legs are still pretty good, but it actually shows up in legs, arms, breathing, and then in the mouth and the speech and that kind of stuff. So eventually it all catches up with you, but so far I've been fortunate with a slow progression.
Sounds like there's a pretty good support system as well in Connecticut for patients.
There is. The association, the Connecticut chapter of the ALS Association, spends most of its time with caregiving services, helping patients with loaner equipment, support group facilitation and caregiver facilitation. They have programs for children of the patients with ALS. So they're quite active, and we've gotten to know the people at the chapter pretty well.
Now, of course, for all of our viewers, we'd love them to come out and walk and help raise money besides reading The Encounter, because all proceeds will go to that.
That's right.
Tell us a little bit, Sherwood Island State Park, right?
So it's always held at Sherwood Island. This year it's on Sunday, October 17th. Registration begins at 10 o'clock, and the walk actually will begin at 11 o'clock. And you can walk, they have a 1 mile track, and you can walk one lap, 2 laps, 3 laps, or whatever. There's refreshments, and there'll be some things for the kids. And it's actually, you know, when you have good weather down there, it's a great place, and it's a great event.
Great. Bringing people together, raising money for a very good cause, and a really amazing story how two local men have come together like this. And thank you so much for sharing your stories.
Thank you for inviting
And
us.
best of luck
Thanks
to
for having
both of
us.
you.
Thank you.
Again, check out The Encounter, a novel by Carl Nichols Jr., and you can check out their website. And don't forget to find out about the Walk to Defeat ALS. That'll be Sunday, October the 17th, Sherwood Island State Park in Westport. Thank you again. Up next on our show, we are going back to school, but this isn't a regular classroom. You better mind your P's and Q's. Put your napkin in your lap because we're heading to etiquette school.